All right, welcome everybody to MVP Office Hours. My name is Jared Kingston. I'm a consultant for Aperio and a Salesforce MVP. I head up the organization of the Office Hours. And if you're unaware, we have this Office Hours as well as a Spanish-speaking Office Hours and an Office Hours over in EMEA and APAC. So spreading the love around the world, if you will. If this is your first time on MVP Office Hours, it's really the Answers community essentially live. So you can chat in the web portion. You can just speak up. You can raise your hand in the web meeting, and we'll get to you in a blank spot. But because it is open, we just ask you to mute your line if you're not talking. That way we can hear questions and answers clearly. So with that being said, we have not only myself, but we have two other excellent MVPs on the call. These two. Will the MVPs raise their hand? I just want to make sure, because I still haven't familiarized myself, I'm slapping myself on the hand, with the latest batch of MVPs, so I need to do that. All right. First one here, if you just MVPs, you want to introduce yourself, tell us who you work for and kind of your area of expertise, and we'll start with Deepa.
Hi, this is Deepa Patel with Halak Consulting, and we are a small Salesforce consulting partner providing implementation services to small and medium-sized businesses. Obviously, I'm a Salesforce MVP. I'm also a user group leader, and I run the Salesforce Certification Study Group on the Success Community.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Jackie.
Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. My name is Jackie Travieso. I am an independent contractor, currently working out of South Carolina, North Carolina area. Been working with Salesforce since 2006, and I generally work with startup and small businesses, usually those who have kind of self-implemented and then find that they need assistance, maybe undoing some of the things that they did or building processes and things like that. So that's kind of the group that I generally work with. So welcome all.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies. In my area is really, Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, Flow, automation, and in that reports and dashboards as well. So, all right, let's go and get started. Who wants to kick us off with the first question? Don't be shy. No such thing as a bad question on the office hours.
All right, well, I'll start. This is Squire.
Go ahead, Squire.
I'm going to have two before the day's up, so hopefully I don't bore everybody to tears. The first one hopefully is a really straightforward one. We have a installed app called Chatter Archiver that we utilize to store all the chatter commentary files, etc., in our internal compliance database. I believe it just sends emails based on a variety of triggers. What we found, kind of by surprise, is that our chatter-free and chatter-only users that are still company aligned, they're not customers, because they don't have access to connected apps, we can't associate them with the package and in turn can't capture their chatter. So we're contemplating trying to write something ourselves, and based on what we're seeing hit the compliance email box, we feel pretty comfortable that if we were to just write triggers on the variety of chatter feed types, so it'd be feeds, comments, files. I thought there was another one off the top of my head. But just open-ended question. Can anyone speak to maybe risks or concerns or gotchas that they've dealt with something in a similar need? Or even to correct and suggest that you can't do that, because that's an option as well.
Deepa, Jack, you want to take a shot at that? Go ahead.
I don't have any experience on that, so I can't speak to it.
Okay.
Especially not writing triggers against that. And plus, it's a third-party app, right?
The one that we have, we'd be replacing it with our own internal code. That's why we're trying to kind of decide our process for moving forward.
I don't know what to say because Salesforce is always making changes.
Mm-hmm.
So you just want to make sure that whatever you could do, that it's not going to kind of come back and bite you in the future when they implement changes.
Right.
That's the thing that I'd be cautious about.
Yeah, we really are.
The only other thing is maybe post your question and your scenario out on the developer board to see if anybody has run into that and what they can offer you.
Yeah, we've been a little bit frustrated with that one because the response, even on the developer board, is there's apps that do that, but there aren't that address that chatter-free flow, and it's because of the connected app piece. Like it's almost like you almost have to build something yourself because it has to integrate with those profiles somehow, or you have to write it against your whole org. So that's what we're kind of dealing with.
Yeah, that would make sense because, yeah, some of those licenses aren't going to, the profiles that they're automatically assigned, right, aren't going to have access to the code or, you know, what you would need to have that run.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're feeling like we are going to have to write some sort of feed-based trigger that's just every time there's a new one fired off into this email compliance box. I'm sure there's a better way to do it, but that's kind of where we're starting. So, all right, thank you, everyone.
Yeah. All right, who's next?
Is it just the four of us?
We got some more on here. Don't be shy out there, people.
You might just want to start calling them out.
Yeah, I may have to.
Okay, I'm waiting for you to say my name, Jared. It's Rob Kaplan.
Hey, Rob. Go ahead.
Well, I actually was thinking of a way. How can I post a document that you all can look at? Would that be up on like the MVP community page?
Yeah. If you post it to the office hours page, or if you post it in the chat, I can repost it out if there's a link to it. In the
Let's see if I can get to office hours in a hurry. Is there anyone else with a question before while I'm typing?
It's Friday, guys.
I wonder if everybody's burnt out from the World Tour yesterday.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. To be honest with you. I know a lot of the MVPs were there, so probably pretty tough.
This is Jack. I actually have a scenario that I've been dealing with, and maybe somebody can shed some light on it. I have a client who's using Professional Edition, so we know that Professional Edition to support workflow or field update rules. They're using HubSpot as their automated marketing automation tool. On their submission forms, they have a state field, which they have created a pick list out of, so that we, valid data, nothing fat-fingered or misspelled. But we have learned is that HubSpot, you cannot map a pick list field to a tech field, meaning the standard state field in Salesforce. So I have a broken process. And I'm not sure. I considered using the state and country pick list, heard so many horror stories about how it can get you in trouble down the line. I don't know what all of the trouble is, but has anybody else run into a marketing automation tool that prevents you from bringing data into fields that are not exactly the same field type?
Is that Jackie?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, traditionally when you do any kind of integration, whether it's third party or within Salesforce, if the field type is not exactly the same, unless they're both absolute text fields, it's really hard to do the integration, and especially the way Salesforce does it is like they do have data validation in the back end on their database. I can't see, unless you write a conversion utility in between. But if they're on Professional, like they don't have access to API unless you ask them to purchase an API and then use a conversion tool in between to convert that data, they've defeated their cost of professional right there.
Exactly. I feel like I've exhausted every possibility. We can't even set the character limits on the HubSpot side to just a 2-character abbreviation. So there's just so many things that are going to go wrong with this, which then also means that lead assignment rules won't work because everything is based on state. So I just wondered if anybody else was using HubSpot and ran into anything like this and if they had a solution.
So I think like Marketo does the same thing. There's a lot of marketing automation systems that were written a long time ago, and they all were like, text-based when, Salesforce addresses were text-based. And I don't know that any of them changed their data model just because Salesforce went to a pick list model.
I know we don't have that issue when we use web-to-lead code because we can control.
Yeah, that's so different
displayed.
though, right? Like it's
Right.
a different piece of code written behind it. So as I said, like unless you have, like you would have to do a convoluted conversion process from getting data out of HubSpot. Like the other option is, kind of using something like Dell Boomi or, like the data retrieval utility from DBAmp and bring that data down from HubSpot, convert it, do correction, and then put it back in or reformat it and then put it back in Salesforce. But once again, those would all require an API.
Mhm. Okay.
Right? Like you
All right,
can't do anything without an API.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that I had exhausted every possibility. So thanks, Deep. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, who's next?
I'm in the on-deck circle, Jared.
All right, you're ready. Go ahead.
Okay. So it goes like this. I put a series of notification flags near the top of my opportunity layout. And
Where are you where did you post that? Is it on the MVP office hours?
Yes, I put it on the MVP office hours.
Hold on a second. Let me get there.
So the bottom line on the problem, the issue description is, why am I seeing like 5 flags for some records and the full 8 flags or 7 flags on other records? And it's not related to record type, and the user is the same. So the field is, obviously the same series of statements across record types, because I don't have it written per record type. It's the same.
Okay, so you're combining case statements with if statements.
Yeah, and I will apologize. I'm not the best at writing these formulas, so there's probably too many parentheses here and there. It's just so that I can figure out what I've written months later.
Do you have the and I'm gonna log it into. There's actually a add-on for the formula builder.
Oh, really?
Do you have that installed?
No, I don't.
In your browser? Hang on a second. We had a link to it. We had a link to it in our Formula Ninja presentation. So, give me one quick second. I'm trying to get to my setup because the thing is, right now you can't even tell if your parentheses are all aligned, right? Like,
right.
Where is the code breaking? You can't even see that. So give me a second. Fields and
Yeah, one other thing I would say too is with something like this where you have a lot of if statements, was going to say you may try the debug log. This is a custom field. It may not get to that level.
Yeah, and see your logic. It's like I don't know if like you're adding things up, and then what are you doing after you adding things up?
It's just concatenating them all together. What it looks like, right?
Yeah. The plus signs is not an arithmetic operation. It's meant to just separate them. After you flag this field, move on and flag the next field.
Yeah. It's hard to see there on the image because it's 2 plus signs, right? It's just.
Yeah, it is 2 plus signs.
No, sorry. It looks like it's 2 plus signs because you have up in each individual formula, there's a plus sign at the end of the top row. And so if you just kind of glance, it looks like it's 2. But yeah, I can see that it's concatenating. I'm just trying to see these different if statements.
Can I ask a question? If you were to create a test record and just flip the record type back and forth, it changes the entire quality list? I mean, the same data generates 2 different lists. Is that a true statement?
I hadn't tried that. I like that test suggestion.
And the reason I'm asking is because if the 2 different record types have completely different data expectations, even though you're assuming they're the same, that could be changing the way the whole thing reads.
Yep.
Also, one of the things that we presented at Dreamforce, and I know you've written your formula, try using the Salesforce's operators with the N% and the pipes, which is going to make it a little easier to, especially when you have if, end close date today, or, those statements are really hard to read right now. If you use the N% and or, what I'm trying to decide is your logic working?
Yep.
Right? So if you use the built-in, 2 N signs and the pipe and separate out your logic a little bit, it might be a little bit more readable to troubleshoot where things are going wrong.
I'd agree.
Okay.
I'll also offer, I've written something similar where what I ended up having to do to get all of my parentheses and concatenations work is I actually, instead of having, for instance, the second line says SAS, and then service type plus the image file plus all those criteria, what I ended up doing is writing the whole thing as just text and basically saying I'm a green flag or I'm a red flag, that sort of thing, and make sure it works with just standard text logic. And then if it does, then you can go back and cut and paste your image strings over the top of those text strings, and sometimes that'll identify one of those plus signs out of sequence or one of those parentheses out of order. Because it's easier to read. It's kind of what people would
see
think.
how that would also be helpful diagnostically. That's right.
Yeah, because the thing is you have to decipher what's not working, right? And if you simplify the readability, or even who was that was suggesting take it out in chunks, make sure the first piece is working. Once that's working, then add the next piece instead of trying to add everything all at once. And so the way I do it is I create dummy fields that I start with a DV in the beginning, so I know that that's a dummy value or dummy field.
Yep.
And then I create a page layout that's just for admins. Or if you're working in the sandbox, then you don't have to worry about anything else. But go step by step and create dummy variables. And if each variable is working, then take that and copy paste it, step by step to make sure that everything's working.
And actually, that's a very good suggestion, Deepa. And that's actually how this got built, was step by step.
And yet you're not getting the results.
As you can tell from the list view screenshot on the PDF, it does work. It does work. I mean, so it's working in some cases and not working in others. But I like
So
the
if that's the
suggestion
case, then it's like, who was it that was
trying to
talking about, like the
yeah.
data, making sure that
Exactly. I like that
the
suggestion.
data is coming through is correct.
Yeah.
Now, the data that's being captured behind, is it dependent upon a user entering it, or is it dependent upon a formula calculation? What is the data dependent on between the two different record types?
Most of it is user-entered data.
All right, so that's once again where it comes to, like, are they entering it correctly? Are they entering what they should be entering?
Yeah. Okay. Good. That gives me something to go attack. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and one thing I was going to ask is, looking at that screenshot on those two case statements, are those fields required?
Hold on, let me put it up on my screen. I was just writing down.
Yeah, that service type.
Yeah, like those pick lists. I'm assuming it's a pick list, the service type?
Yes. Yes, and that is required. So
Okay.
And pilot or full contract is required as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was just going to say, if they're not required, you wouldn't want to put the null at the end. I usually like to just put like 2 parentheses there just to make sure that it works correctly.
Sure. Or an error statement in quotes. That's a nice way to make sure that the case isn't failing you entirely.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point too. Yeah, do it that way. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think everybody's suggestion is really good because it's an interesting one. It's always tricky when you have such a big formula like that to see.
I like that idea of putting error in quotes instead of null.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and in fact, I'd even do it error and like statement 1 or error 1, error 2 or 3, so you can hit which one of those ones is failing every time.
Who's talking? I'm curious.
This is Squire Kirshner. I'm just a pest. I'm not an MVP.
No. You're good.
Who is it?
You're
You're
good.
fine.
Who is it again?
Squire?
I'm still having a hard time getting your first name.
That's okay. Squire Kirshner. I work for R.W. Baird in Milwaukee.
Okay. Squire.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, those are really good suggestions. Thanks, Squire.
You bet. I hope it works.
Awesome. All right. Who has a question?
What a wonderful discussion.
I'll go again. This is Squire. So I've got another just opinion-based one. So we have a situation where our org is shared by 4 different business units, and security-wise and profile-wise, everything works as designed from the perspective of the data access. But what we found is that the naming convention for the account record, which we've changed to firm, that clearly is core to everything, for one of the business units, the term firm is confusing for the data entry perspective. They'd prefer something like branch. And so we're struggling with what a good solution would be, if there is one, to have a single unit of the org have a different label for something as critical as account name. We've thrown around Visualforce. We've thrown around things like using workflows to populate the name and not even let them know they're not really using the name. I'm just looking for any suggestions if you've had a situation like that.
Okay, so you're using firm or branch in the name itself?
The account record has been renamed firm. So the 3 business units that originally came on are using a firm name for the account name. But this 4th unit, firm name is confusing. They'd prefer it to be branch.
Oh, the label, the field label.
Exactly, yes. So we're just trying to come up with a way that isn't code-driven, something like a Visualforce page, to work around that. I didn't know if there was any options that I'm not aware of.
And is this like a problem when adding a new account?
Just viewing it in general, when they see the word firm, this one business unit sees that term as something completely different than the rest of our org. They'd prefer to see the word branch because it represents something totally different for them.
Yeah, well, you can't have 2 labels
right.
for the same object, right?
Yep.
And even if you built an app, you can't segregate that. The app still takes what's the standard, and especially account is a standard field, like
right.
a standard object. So other than renaming the label, but why did the first group call it firm?
Firm is the appropriate terminology for effectively our entire business.
Okay.
This business unit that just came on is a recruiting branch of our recruiting arm of our company, and so when they see the core record of the account record, that's the branch that this person that they're recruiting is associated with, but it still is the account record underneath the covers, and so again, it's firm to 3/4 of the company and branch to 1/4, and just that terminology doesn't work in both directions, so we're just kind of come up with a solution.
Yeah, so see, if it wasn't for just viewing, I would say like you could use like, a flow for data entry.
Yeah.
But since it's for one other thing that but the tab label is always going to be the firm, right? The only thing I can think of is segregating the pick list, list views. And like if you put them in a different group and have their, list view say branch, all branches, right? Like
sure.
I can't see changing it at a tab level, but once you click on that tab and when it comes down to viewing their list views of their, accounts, then you could easily just have, like it would have to be that the list views are controlled at the admin level and not give the individual users the power
Sure.
to build their own list views. But then at the admin level, you can put the fourth group into a public group and share those list views that start with branch with just that group. That's the only segregation that I can think of, unless Jackie can think of something else.
Well, and let me add one more piece of it. So what it trickles down to then is the lookup field on the contacts related to them still say firm.
Yes.
And that's really where the impact is. It's not even so much when they're viewing the firms themselves. They can see based on the data or the record type that it's a branch or something else. It's really when they're looking at a contact they've associated, they're confused about why they relate it to a firm or a branch, or it's really that lower lookup label that's really the challenge. And
I don't think you can change that.
Yeah, no, and we even thought about trying to turn. So we're already on private sharing, the contact is on private, so it's picking up the account sharing rules. So we originally thought we'd add a different lookup and let contacts kind of float, but obviously that's a challenge because the whole org would have to go to non-private ownership to control those accesses, and that's a far bigger change for us. So I think I'm happy that you're saying things that we've kind of gone through as well, because it makes me think that we had the right concerns in mind.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously if you think of anything, I'll be following the MVPs.
I will. I mean, we'll see, but I doubt. I've been doing this for over 6 years, and I'm pretty sure that I've never seen that be able to, to do anything like that. So I found the link to the formula editor for Robert. Was it Robert that was asking?
Yes, it was.
Okay. I am going to put this link after I make sure that it's still valid up on the
Okay.
MVP office hours.
Thanks, Deepa.
I'm sorry. What was your name? I forgot.
Robert or Squire?
Squire.
Yep, that's okay.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
No. Any other questions?
Squire. I was going to say, Squire, this is Jackie, and you probably have already thought this, and it's the only simple solution that I would propose to see if everybody would be able to. But you were talking changing the label. Have you thought about changing it to firm/branch and defining that in that text?
We have the other three heads of the business, the word branch gives them problems. So we're just at this weird the opportunity, the changing that label to be kind of everything was the first thing we thought of, and got pushed back. So, but thank you. Yeah, that was one that we tried right away.
That's hard to please everybody.
True enough.
Okay, here it comes. I'm putting it on the office hours. The great thing about this editor is when you click on a parenthesis, it'll show you the matching parenthesis that ends it, which is extremely helpful.
That is really nice, especially for those huge formulas.
Mm-hmm.
They keep telling you you're missing a parenthesis.
Is it browser independent or only for Chrome?
I have it for Chrome. I don't know that I found it for Firefox yet.
Okay.
Or maybe it works in Firefox as well. I haven't done a search on Firefox. And let me bring up my DevOrg in Firefox and see if it's still. I might have an add-on for Firefox. I'll look at it while you guys talk.
All right. Julie, you have your hand raised. What's your question?
So I have a question about mobile. I'm just now starting to configure some actions and tweaking the global action bar.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm confused about the actions that don't seem to be showing up when they should. So like, for example, if I have a page layout where it's using the default global action bar, then I have things like, new contact will show up on my account page layout. But when I go and I override that and I manually add those standard actions like new contact or new task or new opportunity, those just don't show up. However, the new note shows up.
So are you defining the actions at the global level, or are you defining it at the record level?
No, I'm just putting the global actions on there because I'm in the process of defining what all my record level actions will be, and those will be created in the future. So I wanted to give people something now.
Okay, so the global actions are like if you have customized the actions on the page layout, then the global layout goes away.
Right.
You can't have both. You can either have just the global or the custom at the record level. Object level.
Yes, but what confuses me is if I have the global bar, if I change the layout to use the global actions, then those things like new contact, will show up. However, if I override it and I manually drag that new contact down in there, which is a global action, on the page layout, it won't show up in that case. And I can't figure out why some of them.
So you have to redefine that at the object level.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of tricky in that. I face that same thing, but yeah.
It's like you have to redefine. You have to create a new action at the object level to put it on that page layout. By the way, my formula editor doesn't work in a Firefox, and as I said, I don't know if there is a utility for like that for the Firefox. It just works in Chrome.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Okay, does that help?
Did you already post that?
I am posting it now.
Okay, I was going to say I hadn't seen it yet, so thank you.
No, I'm posting it now. It's on there now.
Awesome. Thank you. Perfect. I will post this into the chat as well. All right. We got about 20 minutes or just under 20 left. Does anybody have any questions? Other questions?
I've got another one, but I don't want to hog all the time.
Oh, you're fine. Go ahead.
All right. Real quick question about reporting, chatter-based reporting. I'm having issues reporting across with a topic grouping of any sort. Is that an option? Is that just unavailable? I can't quite get my fingers around or my head around what's going on there.
Like you're trying to report on like post by a topic?
Yeah, like it just a count basically. We want to see what the most popular topics are. Is that available?
I thought it was.
I thought there was something there. I haven't personally used it. Have you tried to do a Google? Have you tried to do like a search on the help file or even a Google search?
I've done a couple. The problem is that I think there's been some changes with one of the releases about the chatter reporting layers, and I keep getting different messages based on, like the return is big because for the last 2 years people have been asking a lot of chatter questions. So I just wasn't sure if I just was. Maybe it's one of those things that just everybody knows you can't do that yet. I can keep pounding away, but I was just hoping there was a quick answer.
So it looks like there is a I don't know if this will exactly get, but have you tried the topics custom report type?
I have the challenge with that one. Let's see, what was the challenge? Let me see if I can find my report quick. I had an issue with that one, and I wasn't sure if maybe I just misunderstood what it represented. One second. Well, I tell you what, you don't have to listen to me click. I'll try it and let someone else ask a question, then I'll come back to it if we've got time.
Yeah, I can see a problem already kind of with it. Maybe in what you saw is that it doesn't give you a lot of information. It just gives you, the name, some basic information, and the talking about. But if I look at my report here, it doesn't seem that talking about, I don't know what that exactly that's pulling because I had a topic that showed 0 and somebody had posted to that topic. So
yeah, I think that's probably what I was saying too. Is for me to even just do a count by topic name, like you can't even put the topic name in the output. Just seems and I take that back. You can, but it doesn't really give you a lot of functionality. So I'll keep pounding away at it. We're trying to improve our overall usage, and what we've basically done is we don't have an external client base, and so the ideas object had to be poo-pooed, and so we're trying to come up with a chatter version of that. And so the big question is, well, how do we get that category-based reporting from ideas?
yeah, that's an interesting one. There was a way to do this. Yeah, I don't think it's quite there yet from a report type layer.
Like the
I'm sure there is a way to get that information, right? But you'd probably have to do something custom.
Yeah, there's that hashtag version, that topics in chatter report type, that gives you posts per hashtag, but doesn't give you the ability to then do anything else with it.
So here's a couple suggestions, right? Like when Salesforce reporting limits you, you have to look at, if you really need that information, you have to look at third-party products. So the two that come to my mind, in fact, this one is fairly new, but it's gaining a lot of traction. XAuthor by Apttus. It's a fantastic tool because it allows you to bring data out of Salesforce, no matter what object it is, and there's no limit on data. And then you can use Excel's capability to, do the pivoting and, the grouping and whatever you need to do to build your report. And and the great thing is, like, if you ever made any updates, you can post it back to Salesforce. So that's one great product. It's a very new product, but it's a fantastic tool. Really, really great tool. The other tool that I've always used with all of the clients is Conga.
Yep, I know Conga well.
Right? So the beauty about the XAuthor product is you get literally all the IDs, and you get, it's almost like data loader on steroids because it allows you to write back as well. But and it's not that expensive. It's pretty much in the price range of Conga as well. But there are added benefits to the XAuthor product. So I would say, if you've absolutely run into the Salesforce reporting limitations, then I would really look at a third-party app, because if this is absolutely necessary for you guys, to give you guys, it seems like you guys are a fairly big company, right? How many users do you guys have?
We're breaking 600 right now.
So that's not a small implementation, right? So you're better off looking at, like a product like either Conga or XAuthor. And if you want introductions, let me know, send me a message, and I will make introductions to the right people. But, you're big enough where you're probably going to need a third-party product to help you with not just this reporting, but even some of the other reporting needs that you might have.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Are you using anything like that right now?
No, and we're in a financial services org, so there's always these challenges of what it might or might not grant access to.
Yeah.
Because of the compliance gaps. So we're really slow to implement something that might grant access to the world from a prospective user. But I think we're getting to the point where, like you said, we might have to. We've even contemplated we have a strong Microsoft base here, so SSIS with some sort of connector might be the way to go, just because there's more control. But then you start separating the two, Salesforce from the reporting, and that's a challenge.
So I just found something that I think may work for you.
Oh, okay.
Have you tried to create a custom report type on topic assignments?
I can't say that I have.
All right, so I think that's what you need. So I just created one in my dev org, and it looks like it works like you want it. So you can sort by the topic name and see, how many posts essentially have been assigned to that topic.
Excellent. All right, I will definitely dive down that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very limited on the fields there as far as like what that post entails, interestingly enough. But at least at a high level, you can see how many times that topic has been assigned. And then I posted the Salesforce Labs Chatter Dashboards 1.0.
Yep.
That has some good metrics there, but that's where I kind of saw that they had a topic assignments, and so you're able to create a custom report type on topic assignments.
Okay.
And that will get you what you need.
Thank you very much.
There we go. We got a solution.
There we go. That's what we do.
Yeah.
That's cool. I haven't tried to do that before, so it's good to know. All right. Who else has a question? We got about 10 minutes left, so. Bueller?
What?
Come on, you haven't seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
No, I haven't.
You gotta go watch it. Take the day off and go watch it.
What is it about?
Just about a kid who is skipping school and getting into some mischief. You gotta go watch it. Do yourself a favor, go watch it.
Agreed.
Agreed.
All right, I'm gonna call on some names here just to see if we can help you out here. Aaron Cooper, just listening in, or anything we can help you with?
I'm just listening in.
Cool, awesome. Julie Hopkins.
I just learned from listening to you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, awesome. Kelly New.
Yeah, I have a question about forecasting. We're starting to think about using it for the first time, and we want to make it to where a manager can alter their subordinates' forecast because their forecast may not be the most accurate. And I think if for the research I've done with the two types, I think customizable forecasts are the way to go on that. What's been your experience, and what's kind of the best way to go about setting that up?
So here's the thing. Customizable is going to go bye-bye.
Oh, it is?
Yes. It's all going to collaborative. In fact, I'm not even so sure if they allow you to invoke customizable in the orgs. They might.
Okay.
But literally, it's going to be sunset in the next few years.
Okay.
Because they're focusing a lot more. Even like the territory management, everything's built on collaborative. Now, you said that you want the managers to be able to override the forecast for people that report to them, right?
Correct.
Managers can do that already. It's just a permission.
Okay, so just adjust that permission.
Yeah. So a good way to do that, the way I do that, is I use permission sets for that, right? Because this way you can keep the managers, like if you have one profile for managers, you can keep the managers in that, or like whatever role hierarchy you have. But what I do is if I don't want to assign the override forecast permission to everybody, or it gives me a little bit more flexibility, so I create a permission set with override forecast. Mm-hmm. And then I apply it to those users so that they can override forecasts for their own people. Now, there was a restriction where I think they could not override their own forecast. There was some restriction. If you go look at the forecasting group on the Success community, and you might have to scroll through some discussions, but there was some discussion what someone couldn't do, and I think I raised a huge, in fact, like at last year's MVP Summit, I was actually talking to Pratima, who is the main director, and I said this is really needed, but kind of like priority-wise, territory management took a priority. There is one limitation, and right now I'm just blanking out on that limitation, but it's not to have the ability to override your people that report to you their forecast. That's just a permission, and you can give them a permission. Use permission sets. It's going to be easier to do that, so you don't have to manipulate profiles.
Okay.
And if you need help, any other help, just post on the MVP office hours or the forecasting group.
Okay. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Melissa Van Dyke, any questions, anything we can help you out with?
Nope, just listening.
Awesome. All right. I got about 6 minutes left. Anybody else have any questions?
We can have a glass of wine.
Yeah, it is nearly happy hour time. So, anybody?
All right, one last one, just so I have something to do this weekend.
All right.
I'm planning to take my Sales Cloud Consultant exam before Dreamforce.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this quite a while, so while I know how, I've been told that the why is probably the best way to think about that exam. Any suggestions as far as content that I could focus on, other than what's available in the like the training video?
So I'm gonna solicit my group. We're sorry. We're starting, since you're taking it at Dreamforce, I think we should be done, like let me think, May, June, July, August, yeah, that's 4 months. We're starting a Sales Cloud Consultant group in the third week of May, right after the MVP Summit. If you join that, you will go through the entire process on understanding not the hows, but the whys.
Perfect.
So join our group. We do have a requirement. We have to have a real picture, and your profile has to show your company name.
Okay.
So if you have an updated profile, no worries. Ask to join the certification study group. Registrations are open right now. So in the left-hand column, we have the announcement section. Go to that, and you'll see the registration link to register for the Sales Cloud Consultant. It is run on Sundays.
And Diva, will you post that into
Sure.
the MVP office hours group? Yeah, Julie
Yeah.
was asking for that as well.
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for doing that group.
I
yeah,
hope you don't mind. I hope you don't mind soliciting that.
I don't mind it one bit. I think it's great.
Okay.
The thing I learned when I took mine, and I was told beforehand to really think about it when you're taking the test, is it's not about how you think it should be done, right?
Mhm.
It's about how Salesforce says it should be done, right? So that's the key to think about it, because there's always there's different ways to do things, right? But the key is thinking, putting on the thinking cap of, all right, if I was Salesforce, how would I do this? And that's exactly how you have to answer those questions, because some of them, as with the other tests, are a bit tricky as far as knowing what to answer, because it seems like there could be multiples there. So.
Well, the other thing also is that the Sales Cloud Consultant is also based on a lot of the industry knowledge and how business processes should work.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like you have to understand, what is lead management, what is opportunity management, and how does data flow through those business processes, and then you have to align them into Salesforce. So one of the things that they focus a lot also is the actual implementation process, which is you start with planning, then you start with discovery, and then you start with, solution design. Then you start with building it out. Then you do, user acceptance testing, and then you do training, and then you do rollout, and then the post-rollout support. So a lot of the questions are based on that process as well, not just the how-tos, like who plays what role and who's responsible for what, and you have to literally know all of it. And the way you get to know that is if you've done implementations, and that's why we kind of go through that whole process on, those, like a lot of people who take the exam are not consultants, and so we kind of guide them on how to become a consultant, and we make them think like a consultant. We spent like the first 3 or 4 weeks just making them think like a consultant.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to the link. I'll definitely be attending.
Yeah, and we have a really good session leader this time who went through my class when I was teaching it beginning of January. His name is Jeremiah, and he's a very sharp kid.
Awesome.
A man. Sorry, man.
Yeah, these are not elementary school teachers.
I want to call him a kid, but he's a man.
I won't tell him you said that, even though it's on the recording.
Well, this is recorded, so I want to make sure.
Well, just hopefully he doesn't watch it. All right. Well, it's 2 o'clock, everybody, and I appreciate everybody joining. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you on the next office hours.
All right, that sounds good.